Hello, welcome Exiles. Today I'm making a video I didn't think I was going to get to make for another couple years because I didn't think they were going to touch Chieftain again for another couple years. And the video I'm going to make here is saying Chieftain is very good now. And it's only because of one very crucial change, which is this node right here, Scion's Sun's Roar. Warcries have infinite power, 30 buff effect, and that is in combination with the new changes they made to Warcries. Now, specifically, I'm going to talk about some Righteous Fire related Warcries first, because quite honestly, I think I might start Righteous Fire, but I'm going to talk about some other Warcries as well. Specifically, I'm going to give you the example of Enduring Cry. Enduring Cry, at the change to the buff effect, which they made here, was that during the buff, you get 2% regen per 5 power up to 25 power. What that means is, at max power, you get 10% base life regen per second. This scales with Warcry buff effect. If you don't know, 10% regen is a very large amount of percent regen. And if you're scaling with buff effect, 30% buff effect on this node, you have 13% regen. You could take it a step further by only spending 4 passive points on these nodes here and 3 passive points here. 7 passive points, that's another 70% buff effect. You're looking at a base 20% regen per second. This scales with regen rate. For example, if you were to grab Party here, if you were to grab 20% regen on your boots, 20% regen on your gloves, all of a sudden you'd be looking at like 35% regen per second. It just keeps scaling up and up. It's very, very powerful. And not only that, but there are other Warcry buffs that are also very strong. Let me introduce you to the new Ancestral Cry Warcry. Buff grants +5 max all elemental resistances per 5 power and +1 max all elemental resistances for 10 power up to 30 power. That is 3 max elemental res with 100 buff effect. That goes to 6 max ele res, and with the 5 all ele res here, that is giving you roughly 60 all ele res, which is pretty much just capping your resistances by itself. Mainly the big thing here is 6 max elemental resistances. So by grabbing 7 passive points on the tree and this one node here, I'm looking at permanent uptime of 20% regen and 6 max elemental res. That is just a free ticket to run Righteous Fire by itself. That will sustain you. It will over sustain you. This node is crazy. Now, I have to preface this with Warcries at baseline, Ancestral Cry, Enduring Cry. They have 8-second cooldowns. You put quality on them, that gets 40% CDR. If you put quality on them, they'll end up having like a 6-second cooldown, something like that. And then you factor in the fact they have 3.4 second base durations. You get a bit of Warcry duration here, 10% here. You get 40% from this wheel here. That's 50% Warcry duration. You attach an increased duration support on them, and they should be roughly around a 10-second duration. So you will have to press them every 10 seconds. You can use urgent orders on top of them now, so the Warcry speed is fast and should feel good. There is some quality of life loss there, but the stats you're getting from them are just kind of crazy. And it takes it to the point where I feel like Righteous Fire on Chieftain, your choices didn't necessarily feel good, or I didn't really feel like they felt good to me in terms of like the way I like to build characters, which is high regen, high life number, RF burn. And this kind of just opens up that angle of ways to build a character. And on top of that, there is a buff to Calm's Heart as well. The old goated chest beast that used to have 1,000 life now has 1,000 life again. And I just can't wait to try to build a life stacking character. I'm very excited about this specifically. Now, I said there's other strong things with Warcries. I wasn't lying about that either. Let me introduce you to some other very interesting changes. Battle Mage's Cry was a very strong Warcry, great for attack damage scaling via using spell damage to apply to it. That part of it's gone, but they replaced it with a new part, which is actually quite strong itself, which is buff grants 0.5 base crit per 5 power up to 25 power. With 100% buff effect, you're looking at 5% base critical strike chance. You know, if you're using a support gem, increased crit strikes, it would give you 2 base crit and 100% increased crit chance. Battle Mage's Cry, if you have uptime on this, that is more base crit. Another good example is Infernal Cry, which now grants gain 5% maximum fizz as fire per 5 power up to 25 power. That is gain 50% fire or fizz as extra fire. So what I'm getting at, what I'm alluding at here is if I played a fizz to fire conversion spell-based character, I get great base crit, I get great gain as, and I could get the benefits from the Enduring Cry and the Ancestral Cry damage and defenses all in one package. But it starts to become a piano build. Don't worry, you can piano one more if you really wanted to. Seismic Cry gives you 5% more armor per 5 power, and Stun Threshold, which could be up to 50% more armor. All this is a bunch of buffs. It does add in a piano playstyle. It depends how much you want to go into that piano aspect, but the power's there. I could very much see some very strong spellcaster chieftains because of this node. Not only that, there's also the scenario where theoretically you could play a super tanky Juggernaut and you could steal this node for the spellcaster archetype there. There is some tools in the tool belt, and I just want to say I'm so happy about this. Seeing Chieftain become something again. I feel like there's real builds that can be made with Fizz to Fire builds, RF builds, and quite frankly, this node here with Warcry Slams and the buffs they've done, I think there's realistic Warcry Slams builds that would be very good as Chieftain as well, and I'm just glad those exist now. There's a lot of other really strong changes that happened in this patch notes. For example, the other build I'm going to consider starting is a Warcry Slam Zerker. I'll probably go over that in a separate video, but I am just going to conclude with the Chieftain. I'm very happy about it, and it's on my short list for builds I want to league start for 325. Just wanted to make this video because I ragged on Chieftain a lot when it initially got changed, and I got to give credit to the change they did here with Chieftain. I think it took it from rags to riches in terms of just this one little change. I think put it over the edge of being very bad, in my opinion, to very reasonably good just because of how strong I believe this node is. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, thanks for watching, Exiles. Take care and peace out.